Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro offered an international press conference this Wednesday to provide details of the failed mercenary incursions into the country that took place this Sunday and Monday. Brazil remains the epicenter of the coronavirus pandemic in Latin America, with its death toll having surpassed 8,000. Iranian President Hassan Rouhani warned of a crushing response if the United States continues its efforts to prolong a UN Security Council arms embargo on Tehran that is set to expire later this year. From the headquarters of Telesur English in Havana, Cuba, this is From the South, I'm Katrina Goss. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro offered an international press conference this Wednesday to provide details of the failed mercenary incursions into the country that took place this Sunday and Monday. He stressed that US President Donald Trump receives daily briefings on Venezuela and that his claims that the United States had nothing to do with the latest attacks is an outright lie.
It's impossible that he hadn't been informed on May 3rd on what happened in Venezuela. It was a worldwide news. It was impossible that he wasn't informed. He wasn't briefed on Monday, May 4th, on what happened. It's impossible that on Tuesday, 5th May, he wasn't briefed on what happened in Venezuela. That's impossible. That's it's the unverosimile lie.
And President Maduro presented video footage of one of the two US citizens captured this Monday alongside other mercenaries who explained how they were contracted by Silvercorp to participate in the preparations to illegally enter Venezuela.
What's your name? Luke Alexander Denman. What is your age? 34. Where do you live? In Austin, Texas. When did you enter the army? In 2006. What has been your tactical training? I was in the Army for 5 years. I did infantry and AIT training, and I also did deep water dive training and aviation training for fixed wing aircraft. Where and when did you meet Jordan Woodrow? In Germany in 2009 or 2010. What was the job proposal for Jordan? To meet Venezuelans in Colombia, train them, and come with them to Venezuela to secure Caracas and secure an airport here for follow-on. How much would Jordan pay for the job? I expected anywhere from 50 to 100,000. What is the training you teach? Planning, mission planning, and tactical work inside buildings. How many irregular groups do you was training in Rio Hacha? There was 3 small groups. How many men in that groups? In total, it was 50 to 60, so around 20 people per group. Tell me about the instructions that Jordan Woodrow gave to you, and which was the targets. The only instructions that I received from Jordan was to ensure that we took control of an airport for safe passage for Maduro and receiving of airplanes. I'm going to ask you, as Venezuelan citizen, think in your condition like American soldier, what will be your reaction if irregular forces entered in your country in order to assassinate the president? I wouldn't like it. Right. That would probably mean more war. What other tasks involve taking control of the airport? Securing the sector establishing outer security, communicating with the tower, bringing in planes, one of which includes one to put Maduro on and take him back to the United States.
Who commands Jordan?
President Donald Trump.
Who gave you the weapons and the tactical uniforms?
Jordan through Silver Corps.
What jobs does Cyber Corps?
Private security contracting and consulting, known in some places as mercenary work. My responsibilities to Silver Corps are written in a contract, or described in a contract, signed by Jordan Goudreau, Juan Rendon, and Juan Guaido.
As the Venezuelan president revealed, a contract was signed with Silvercorp in October 2019 to orchestrate the latest attacks, which was supported by the Colombian government and President Ivan Duque himself, who provided Colombian territory for the establishment of camps to train mercenaries and terrorists to launch the incursion into Venezuela.
He mentions a contract that was signed, Silvercorp and Juan Guaido. Silvercorp through direct orders from Donald Trump because of the confidence he has had on this company. Here's the contract. Here are the signatures. It is public and well known. Here's the contract to invade Venezuela, a serious crime in any nation around the world. I hope that we can take action. I'm by the power ensuring justice in Venezuela.
Maduro stressed that the Trump administration outsourced the organization of this attack through Silvercorp in order to wash their hands of any responsibility should the incursion fail, but the evidence is conclusive.
Who gave the order? Who is the boss of Silvercorp? That is mentioned by this mercenary combatant. The boss is President Donald Trump. He's the direct boss, the responsible for this invasion, giving orders to this company. He's recognized as the chief of the whole incursion. They outsourced this action to try, if it came out good, to start an escalation of intervention, and if it went wrong, as it did, to wash their hands as Pilatus.
And US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo this Wednesday referred to the 2 US mercenaries who were captured on attempting to enter Venezuela as part of the armed incursion this Monday. As well as recognizing the possibility that US citizens could have been captured in Venezuela, Pompeo threatened to do whatever it took to secure their return to the United States.
We're going to work on this. It's a consular matter in the sense of any time there are Americans that are detained someplace, we'll work to get them back. We will start the process of trying to figure a way, if in fact these are Americans that are there, and that we can figure out a path forward. We want to get every American back. If the Maduro regime decides to hold them, we'll use every tool that we have available to try and get them back. It's our responsibility to do so.
More stories coming up after this very short break, so don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. Brazilian health authorities confirmed a further 600 COVID-19 deaths on Tuesday. The authorities stressed that the fatalities were registered between May 3rd and May 5th. The COVID-19 death toll in Brazil has now surpassed 8,000, the 6th highest in the world. Brazilian health authorities also highlighted that at least 7,000 new cases were reported on Tuesday, for a total of more than 100,000 confirmed cases in the country. Brazil is the epicenter of the pandemic in Latin America. Meanwhile, President Jair Bolsonaro's government continues to insist on easing the restrictions and resuming economic activities. The director of the Pan American Health Organization has urged countries in the Americas to act cautiously on easing COVID-19 restrictions.
To all of our countries in the Americas, I urge you to consider the following approach. First, be cautious. Easing restrictions too soon could accelerate the spread of the virus and open the door for a dramatic upsurge or for spread to adjacent areas.
St. Kitts and Nevis has reported a total of 15 positive cases of COVID-19, of which 12 people have recovered.
To date, 318 persons have been sampled and tested, with 15 confirmed positive, 303 confirmed negative, and 0 results pending. This afternoon, I would like to confirm that we have 12 confirmed cases who have recovered. I repeat, 12 confirmed cases have recovered. To date, we have 0 deaths.
US President Donald Trump announced on Tuesday that the White House Coronavirus Task Force will wind down as the country moves into a second phase that focuses on the aftermath of the outbreak. Despite growing evidence that the pandemic is still raging, President Trump confirmed plans that the White House will start moving coordination of the US response to the coronavirus to federal agencies in late May. Trump informed that Anthony Fauci and Deborah Birx, doctors who have assumed a high profile during weeks of nationally televised news briefings on the pandemic, would continue to advise the White House after the task force is dismantled. More than 73,000 people have died from COVID-19 in the United States, representing by far the highest death toll in the world.
A growing issue that's been happening with now.
China has responded to claims by US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo that the coronavirus originated in a lab in the Chinese city of Wuhan.
Mr. Pompeo has said a lot recently. He said that he has enormous evidence. Then show us. But I have seen reports that WHO officials also said that the US has not shown any evidence to WHO so far. And according to the recent reports, it seems that the senior officials of the US have changed their mind on the evidence. Mr. Pompeo repeatedly spoke up, but he cannot present any evidence. How can he come up with evidence? Because he doesn't have any. So I think this matter should be handed to scientists and medical professionals and not politicians who lie for their own domestic political ends.
Chinese President Xi Jinping on Wednesday chaired a meeting of the ruling Communist Party on improving systems for regular epidemic prevention and control in the country. Xi also called to accelerate the implementation of policies to support the economic and social development of Hubei province and the overall assumption of normal daily life. Authorities stressed that the nation should make good use of the effective practice in epidemic prevention and control in Wuhan City and Hubei province to find ways to strengthen the current disease prevention and control system and improve epidemic monitoring and early warning capabilities. China, once the world's hardest hit nation by the COVID-19 pandemic, has now dropped to 11th place on the global list of affected countries, with over 82,800 cases and a death toll of more than 4,600. The United Kingdom has drawn up a three-stage plan to ease the coronavirus lockdown that was first imposed at the end of March. The government was scheduled to review the lockdown by May 7th. However, Prime Minister Boris Johnson has stated that he is worried about triggering a second deadly spike in cases by lifting measures too soon. The first phase will involve small shops reopening alongside outdoor workplaces, and the second will involve large shopping centres reopening, with more people encouraged to go into work, according to official sources. Meanwhile, the leader of the opposition, Sir Keir Starmer, has blamed the Prime Minister for the mishandling of the health crisis that has seen the UK ranked second in the world in terms of its COVID-19 death toll, only surpassed by the United States.
At the press conference last night, the Deputy Chief Scientific Advisor said, and I quote, "What this shows us is that there's a real issue that we need to get to grips with in relation to what's happening in care homes." I couldn't agree more. But 12 weeks after the Health Secretary declared that we're in a health crisis, I have to ask the Prime Minister, why hasn't the government got to grips with this already?
Well, actually, Mr. Speaker, I mean, he's quite right, of course, to look at the crisis in care homes, and he's absolutely right to say that there's an epidemic going on in care homes, which is something I bitterly regret, and we've been working very hard for weeks to get it down. And for disadvantaged communities, we're making sure that we supply them with more 4G.
Spain's government this Wednesday secured enough parliamentary support through last-minute negotiations to extend the country's state of emergency. The strict lockdown has brought the outbreak under control, with a daily death toll of 244 recorded on Wednesday, far below the peaks of nearly 1,000 a day registered in early April. But it has also devastated the economy and led to huge job losses. The parliamentary debate on how to organise the exit from the lockdown underlines the divisive political environment in a country that has faced 4 national elections in 4 years and where the government must battle for support. This will be the 4th 2-week extension to the state of emergency. Spain has reported a total of more than 25,000 COVID-19 deaths and over 250,000 cases, the second highest number in the world. And we're taking one last break now, but stay with us for more. Welcome back to From the South. Iranian President Hassan Rouhani warned of a crushing response if the United States continues its efforts to prolong a UN Security Council arms embargo on Tehran that is set to expire later this year. Rouhani referred to the moves by Washington, which last month circulated a draft UN resolution that would indefinitely extend the embargo set to expire in October as part of the 2015 nuclear deal between 6 major powers and Iran, which the Trump administration pulled out of in 2018, sparking global criticism. In his speech to the nation this Wednesday, President Rouhani stressed that if the US wants to return to the deal, it should lift all the sanctions against Iran and compensate the country for their reimposition. The Israeli regime has once again launched air and artillery attacks on the northern and central areas of the besieged Gaza Strip. Palestinian security sources reported that early Wednesday morning, Israeli artillery targeted surveillance posts of the armed wing of the Palestinian Islamic Resistance Movement, Hamas, in the northern Gaza Strip. The Israeli army claimed that strikes were a response to a rocket attack launched from the occupied Palestinian territories. At the same time, Israeli aircraft carried out attacks against Palestinian resistance posts in Juha Ardik in central Gaza. The new attacks on the besieged Gaza Strip come at a time when the novel coronavirus has begun to spread and Palestinians are faced with a lack of necessary equipment and supplies to deal with the deadly virus. Kenya on Tuesday called for an urgent investigation into the fatal crash of a private cargo plane in Somalia on Monday amid unconfirmed reports that it may have been shot down. The African Express Airways aircraft was ferrying supplies amid the coronavirus crisis when it crashed in southern Somalia, killing 6 crew members. In a statement, the Kenyan Foreign Ministry urged the Somalian government and international agencies to investigate the incident due to its potential impact on humanitarian operations in the region. Meanwhile, Somali President Mohamed Abdullahi ordered a bilateral joint investigation. Somalia's Al-Qaeda-linked insurgency Al-Shabaab has a presence in the area where the plane came down, and some witnesses have claimed the plane was shot down by the terrorists. Burundi's police force says it has arrested 64 supporters of the main opposition party, the National Freedom Council, who are blamed for violent clashes with ruling party supporters during the current general election campaign. Burundian Attorney General Silvestri Nyandwi has urged politicians not to incite violence following several clashes, some involving machetes, between governing party supporters and those backing the opposition. There have been attacks in various parts of the country ahead of presidential and parliamentary elections due to be held on May 20th. While other countries in the region have imposed restrictions on movement because of the coronavirus, large political rallies are taking place throughout Burundi. 7 candidates are vying to replace President Pierre Nkurunziza, who is stepping down after being in power for 15 years. An enormous sandstorm over Niger's capital saw a towering wall of dust sweep over the city, creating an impressive and menacing spectacle that was captured on film by eyewitnesses. The immense storm swept through Niamey early this week, shrouding the city in an eerie reddish darkness. While there are no reports of damage or injuries, dust storms are thought to drive surges in some illnesses like bacterial meningitis. According to research published in 2016, the high winds across North Africa from Eritrea to Senegal can carry particles, including infectious bacteria, deep into the respiratory tract, suggesting sandstorms could play a role in the outbreaks of some diseases. Ghana has adopted pool testing of samples to maximise the use of coronavirus test kits, which are in short supply globally. The initiative involves testing up to 10 samples in a single test, and if any of the samples test positive, then the entire batch is tested individually to identify the infected sample. Scientists believe that the method is a valuable time saver in the fight against COVID-19. It has seen Ghana test over 100,000 samples so far. Ghana is ranked 6th on the list of the worst hit African countries, with more than 2,700 cases and 18 fatalities. And we've come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. For Telesu English, I'm Katrina Goss, and thank you for watching.